Shut Thunderbird before it goes off. Hello. Hello. How is everybody doing? How's things? How's life? How's the universe? How has your week been? What's everybody been up to? Hello. Right. Good. Wonderful. Hello, Ish. How you doing? Are you hearing an echo? Hello, B. Hello, Simon. How you guys doing? Is there an echo? Or is that just Ish being Ish? I am become Echo, not you. Awesome. Hello, John. How you doing? I haven't, despite my body's best efforts this week. Um, yeah, yeah. And hello, Simon. No worries, John. See you in the VOD. Hello, Chris. Just a cue before I go. Hit me. Or don't, you know. Up to you. How's everybody doing? How's things? Nvidia took away PhysX 32-bit game support for 5000 series and doesn't support accelerating older games. 5090 literally gets beaten by a 960 when running a lot of popular, older, and not really that old games. Opinions? Well, so it's kind of funny. I've actually been writing and just finished editing today essentially a video essay on the history of Nvidia. The thing about so that's the second video of that I've done. You will see the first next Friday, and then I'm going to not post anything until the following Friday, at which point you'll see this NVIDIA one. But anyway. It's kind of funny because NVIDIA bought PhysX. They didn't make it. They bought it from Aegea, who had initially designed a physics accelerator card that was meant to be a PPU, a physics processing unit. In the same way that we have a graphics processing unit and a central processing unit, or CPU and GPU. But NVIDIA bought it and then immediately reworked it to run on NVIDIA's own hardware. And so, yeah. It's kind of funny that it's them that have killed it. I don't know if the 32-bit issue is purely a software / BIOS problem, or whether there's a hardware issue that they're just not willing to fix. I mean, if it's a hardware issue, then it's very difficult for them to fix, but still. So yeah, what's kind of funny is that you can actually use a secondary card for PhysX. So if you're running a 500 series or 5000 series card and you really cared about performance in older games, you could buy a GT 1030, stick it in your PC, and then have the PhysX be rendered on the 1030 while the 5090 does the rest of it. That seems like an utterly ridiculous, idea, but it is possible. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Nvidia breaking things just for the sake of it, seemingly. Although, to be honest, I don't think that I am well enough informed on that specific issue to know exactly why it's happening, and if Nvidia's responsive is justified or not. Also, excuse me. Pardon me. Why are Alienware PCs so bad or difficult? Well, it kind of depends which one and all that. But the general consensus, I would think, or at least my opinion anyway, is that Uh, People like Dell in particular, the owners of Alienware, really, really like to go all out in making systems as easy for their sweatshops to manufacture, which often comes at the cost of little to no upgradability, little to no support outside of their heinously expensive and terribly difficult to use customer supports, and difficult in just like getting into the damn thing and upgrading anything. Like they use custom motherboards, custom power supplies, often custom versions of GPUs that are perhaps say still blower style cards when a multi-fan open configuration almost always performs better, cooler, and quieter. Although they do often design the chassis around like fresh air coming in from the front straight into the GPU fan and then straight out the back, so arguably it is better in that regard, but it's often still noisier. Anyway, I think it comes down to the non-standardization alongside the often the price is often higher than it you perhaps might think otherwise. But if you want to buy 10,000 of them, that's a great option because they can do that. Thanks for the response. I'm asking because I'm buying a 2060 for $160, and he's also going to throw in an Alienware PC with an L5. I think it's L7, 25, 2016. I'm not sure what L5 is. That i5? Anyway, fair enough. So yeah, the potential problem, especially with older Dell machines, that sort of age, is that the only valuable parts that will be in that machine will be the CPU and maybe the RAM. Maybe. Because the motherboard, case, and power supply are all custom to Dell and will not work in any other system. So should you want to use a different case or power supply or motherboard, you'll need to just buy all new ones. Simon F63 just got in, sat down with a beer. Been a long day. My second grandchild was born earlier this morning. Well, congrats. Well, wonderful. Congratulations. And congratulations to your child? Your son or daughter? I was trying to work out what the most sensible way to say that is, because let's face it, that's not a sentence I have to say very often. Being 28 and all of my friends are autistic, and so very good chance we're not having any kids. So yeah, congrats. Because Alienware indeed. And as to the first part of Bimo, yeah, not really. My infusions. So I was blindsided by my doctor, my consultant, because I had an appointment with him last like Thursday. I don't know, last week, and I thought all was well. I've had my last infusion, and I'm gonna get the intramuscular at-home injections anytime now. And then I got a phone call the next day saying your consultant has decided to require you to have 2 more infusions, and they must be 8 weeks apart. Now, the problem for me is that the infusion schedule, as you taper onto infusions, is 2 weeks. First one, a 2-week gap, and then a 4-week gap. Now, apparently, the standard procedure is then an 8-week gap from there onwards. The problem for me is that after the first one, I just had some side effects, but no like positive effects. After the second one, a week after that, so 3 weeks into treatments, I started feeling a lot better, and I had 1 or 2 weeks of feeling much better. Like, not healthy, I'm never healthy, but a lot better. And then as I came up to week 4, or I guess week 6, depending on how you count, started going downhill. Felt really bad. Was quite loose in that area. Had the infusion, and then was blindsided by the fact that I need to wait 8 weeks, or now I guess 6 weeks from now, to get the next one. Thank you, Chris. That is a long time. And so yeah, that was great. I'm still waiting for it to kick back in because bad, it's been bad. I've been back to like barely being able to stay awake during a day because my body is not absorbing nutrients. It's doing its darndest to flush them all out without even touching them. So yeah, I'm not well. Not well. Oh, and my GP, how do I say this politely? Messed up a very important blood test I need for a follow-up appointment, and so I need to have another blood test next week, and hope that they get the results in time. So yeah, I'm great. I hate proprietary PC equipment. So do I. That's why I built my stuff open source. I entirely get why people are resistant to open source, or resistant to open sourcing their own work. But I don't know. The world would be a much better place if everything was open source. Proprietary sucks. Typed from MacBook Air. I probably a long time ago. Now I suggested a what do you call it? I suggested I guess what you might call a process to prevent abandonware. So a company has to like register all of the source code, all of the source designs, whatever, with an independent and secure body who keeps everything, encrypted, hidden away. No one can access it, not even the people there, kind of thing. However, if the product becomes end of life and the company is no longer supporting it, all of the documentation becomes public so that, you can fix your stuff that's out of the manufacturer support window, but still, if it was still working up until, 5 minutes ago, you should be able to at least know how it works to then, if it's just a capacitor that's failed, having the schematics to know what capacitor to buy to replace it, and then just solder in a new one. Like, isn't that the whole reduce, reuse, recycle in that order? We can reduce the number of the stuff we need to buy. Anyway, don't Don't you just rock up and have a blood test, or do you have to make an appointment? For this, for GP requested blood tests, you have to make an appointment. For hospital blood tests, you as long as you have a blood form, you just turn up. And unfortunately, this is a GP one. Yeah. You folks should have seen compact PCs back in the day. Totally proprietary. Well, I mean, if you go far enough back, everything was proprietary because there was no standards. They were inventing the standards. So yeah. Damn right, Simon. The NVIDIA 5000 series. PhysX abandoned is unbelievable, and if you want to play old games, it's a lottery now. Well, it's also basically no faster than the last generation, but costs more, and fake frames profit was NVIDIA's pitch. But they're busy making like cargo containers worth of money a second from selling their DGX AI servers. So who cares about us gamers, the ones who helped create the company? Hello app. How you doing, man? Those things. Oh, missing ROPS too. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Although part of the whole GTX 970 lawsuit wasn't just the misrepresentation of the last 5 gigs of the VRAM, but it was also that it was meant to have 2048 kilobytes worth of L2 cache, but it only had 1742 or whatever. And the what you call it? And it was missing ROPS as well. I think it was meant to have 64 and it had 58 or something. So yeah, been there before. I have a blood test every 3 months from the GP. Get the referral, walk next door to pathology, take a number, done. I mean, fair enough. For the hosta ones, for the ones with like for my ulcerative colitis, I am emailed blood forms. I print them out. I walk into the hospital. I go to medical outpatients, and give them the form. 5 minutes later, a nurse calls me, takes my blood, and then I sod off home. So yeah. Be quiet, silly gamers, and just enjoy what we give you. NVIDIA 2025. Jim loved the API video, APIs explained video, Andy. Learned a lot from that, so thanks. No worries. As a very much part-time developer and even more part-time web developer, I have experience in building APIs and endpoints and things. And obviously, as I said, experience using them locally as well. Anything that you connect to via your web browser that's running as a server is generally an API. Like localhost, like Olama, as I mentioned in the video, you interact with that either via the terminal interface and command line arguments, or via its API. But yeah. $7,499 for a non-scalper 5090. It's over 4,000 euros. For a non-scalper? No. I thought the 5090 was meant to be, what, 2,000? Not 4,000. No. Non-scalper? It doesn't make financial sense to sell cards to gamers when they make more money with AI products. So they're trying to upsell people with AI focused expensive cards. Well, so I think my personal read on it is that you're right in that they're making all their money selling servers, basically. Because the thing is that I don't know what the price, the most recent pricing is, but even their first DGX1 server, which they actually donated the very first one to OpenAI, which dropped the training time from 6 days to 2 hours, which is insane. But that DGX1 was $149,000. Now, admittedly, that was 8 Volta GPUs and dual core Xeon, but the dual core Xeon and the chassis and Perspex whatever was probably in the order of a couple grand. I don't know, maybe 10. The GPUs, selling 8 GPUs, even if you call it 25 grand, because they might have been too high end once, I can't remember. You're still talking about, you know, over 100 grand for 8 GPUs. That's obviously more money than like even a 5090. Because if you think about it from a perspective, a whole market perspective, Nvidia sells the chips to the AIBs, right? Now, admittedly, Nvidia probably sells the chips for $1,500, which requires the AIBs to use the $500 left to actually build the rest of the GPU, to manufacture it all, to package it, to ship it, have all of the like resellers, you know, like someone like Overclockers, a Case King, whatever, take their pound of flesh. Like it GPUs are very thin margins for everyone involved except Nvidia. But especially with how large GPU dies are, especially like that 5090, you're talking about a yield of, you know, I haven't checked what the exact sizing is, but like 10 or 20 dies from a single wafer. And if a single wafer is like $30,000, $60,000, whatever, you got to split that cost somewhere. I don't quote me on these exact numbers. It's probably different. It's almost certainly different. But point is, if they can sell the same die area to, you know, OpenAI or whatever for, I think the most recent pricing I saw was about $450,000 for a single server with 8 GPUs. So like, you know, that yeah. And especially now that they make their own Grace CPUs, was it a 72 core CPU? Actually, the interesting thing with the AI stuff is that they've now started making super chips, which are basically just motherboards that have a CPU and then 1 or 2 GPUs on it, that all share memory and stuff. And then just that motherboard just gets put in the case, has the RAM soldered on, all that sort of stuff. Cooler gets bolted down, and that's it. It's, you know, plug some cables in, and that's ready to go. And then you can have 2 of those per chassis for a total of 4 Blackwell GPUs per 4U chassis, and then add in whole rack for that, and 9950 X3D sold out too. I mean, yeah, that's seeing the performance, I'm not surprised. Nvidia's genius. They add a gimmick to the card that can only be judged subjectively, like ray tracing or multi-frame generation, to move away from objective performance metrics, and everyone buys it because it seems cool. Well, to be honest, I don't know that I'm I've been convinced by ray tracing or frame generation from either team. Now, I do now have a 40 series card in my PC, but would I enable frame generation in games? I don't think so. One, because it adds latency, and I hate latency, and two, because it's fake frames. It's artificial smoothness in the weirdest way. I mean, Nvidia was literally bragging from the 30 series when they'd added frame generation that 7/8 of the pixels on screen that you see in a game with multi-frame rendering and DLSS super resolution is that it are generated frames, or are generated pixels, sorry. So only 1 in every 8 pixels you see on screen have been traditionally rendered. Which is insane. Yeah. And that was with just 1 rendered frame and DLSS upsampling. So when you add in 3 fake frames, and it's every, like, 1 real pixel to every, 15, 30? Whatever. It's ridiculous. I think my perspective on games has changed, to be fair. Literally don't care about ray tracing other than it being a fun demo and cool for 5 minutes. I play games for the fun or social of multiplayer, not reflections. Yeah, I think... don't get me wrong, there is a place for better graphics, because that's what ray tracing can give you. In certain story-based games, especially ones that don't have very, like, latency sensitive mechanics, yeah, having better visuals is great. Being more immersed in the world because it is more lifelike is really cool. It's really, that's an enjoyable feature, but it's a very small subset of games. Like, if there was absolutely no performance cost to it, yeah, of course. If the game looks better, the game looks better. Profit. But because there is such a performance cost, like, orders of magnitude less performance, I'd struggle to care. And especially with multiplayer games, like, no. Oh. I literally can't tell the difference of ray tracing on. To be fair, I struggle with that occasionally too. Hello Joe. How you doing? How's things? To be fair, saying that, Battlefield 5 looked so good. Did appreciate that. In the demos it did. But I remember testing Battlefield 5 with a 20 series card, and yeah. Multi-frame generation can't change the latency. 100 pseudo FPS and 30 FPS latency is bound to be bad. Well, so the thing with any frame generation is that it adds latency no matter how many frames you're rendering. But it gets worse the more frames you render, because frame generation has to look at the next real rendered frame to know what to draw in between. And the problem with multi-frame generation is that if you are rendering 3 fake frames, what that means is that you have real frame number 1, it then renders real frame number 2, and then it generates 3 frames in between. So when it shows you frame number 1, It then shows you fake frame number 1, fake frame number 2, fake frame number 3, and then real frame number 2. All of that time in between, it's had that newest frame ready. But it can't show you it yet because it's busy showing you the fake ones. Which means that you've added 3 frames worth of latency to your experience. And if that is the case, especially if you're using it in how NVIDIA intends you to use it, getting 27 FPS and you're upping it to whatever it is, 4 times at 120 or whatever, 180, and you're running on a 144 hertz display, that means that you're adding 3 times 16 point, no, 6.8, 6.9 milliseconds worth of latency. Like, a lot. No, it's interpolation, not extrapolation. It has to know what the newest frame is to then draw between them. Which is why it ends up looking okay to your eye when you play it. But it has to look at the next frame. Gamers Nexus said multi-frame generation works best with the games that don't need it. Yeah. That's NVIDIA's MO, though, isn't it? Release a tech that hurts performance, but hurts the competition more than it hurts them, and people will fanboy for them. I mean, kind of. I think NVIDIA's MO is closed source proprietary options that give them another selling point. DLSS, G-Sync, PhysX, to a degree RTX, which even though it's DXR, DirectX ray tracing, and therefore open. Because of the motion vectors in the game, extrapolation should be possible, but yeah, as far as I'm aware anyway, it's not. I know that it does optical flow for its generation, but I'm relatively certain that it's not extrapolation, which is awful. Keep going. Yeah, I've spent a lot of time scrolling through NVIDIA's documentation and launch videos in the last couple of days. So there's a very good chance that facts are muddled in my head, but yeah. Don't movie fans hate frame interpolation? Interpolation is a lot better than extrapolation because you have both data points to pull from, like the start and the end, but it's still not real frames, you know? It's still somewhat generated. Whether it's generated just by straight interpolation or whether it's generated by, you know, AI, whatevs. I got the new 1970 XT. Can't say that I'm impressed coming from a 6900 XT in Warzone and CS2 at 1080p low. CP bottlenecked. Well, yeah, those are, especially at 1080p low settings, you're gonna struggle to make an impact in the performance department without it being a CPU upgrade. Did I miss out anything? Oh, Joe. Not bad. Been spending the last couple of days working on this Marva build. The specs are bonkers and over the top, but it's looking sweet. Just shame we've got to give it back. Fair. I would have totally thought there was less of an impact on movies as you're not interacting with them. Quality of interpolated frames might still be an issue. Yeah, I mean, so what do you call it? It depends on how many frames you have to interpolate between. So, as an example, if you want to slow down a video, uh, there's a couple of ways you can do it. If you filmed the source video with a higher frame rate than the output frame rate, it was already dropping frames anyway, like skipping frames anyway. So if you just slow the higher frame rate video down, you get nice smooth playback because let's say you recorded at 60 FPS, but your output video is 30 FPS. Well, slow the first video down by half and it will match perfectly and it'll be nice and easy. Problem solved. However, if let's say you want to slow something down, but you filmed both, filmed the clip at 30 and you're outputting it at 30 FPS. Well, there is a problem. So you slow it down by 50%, and now your editing software has to interpolate every other frame to make it smooth, or it can just stop motion it. But if you want it to look smooth, then it has to do interpolation like optical flow, which can have mixed results. However, if you're outputting a 60 FPS video that you filmed at 30, but you still need to slow it down, then it now has to interpolate. I can't do maths in my head. Is that 2 frames or 3? I think it's 3 because you have to make up 4. So now it has to interpolate over 3 frames, and that's even worse. So yeah, less good, less good. But it is often still better than in games, for sure. Is there a time to retire AIOs before they leak? Well, I haven't had an AIO leak. Touch wood. I haven't had one leak. I've had a couple of pumps fail, but I've not had one leak. So when the pump fails, basically, or when they leak. First I got the Power Color Hellhound for €1,000, but it was too large for my case. So we got the Reaper XT at 950, almost expensive as my old 7900 XTX Pulse. Fair. Well, isn't the 9070 XT meant to be a 70 class card, not a 90 class card like the 7900 is? You know? Yeah, Swap, that's I was trying to say that, but my brain is shutting down. You know what I said that I can barely stay awake during a day? Well, I've had a long day and I haven't napped. um so yes, the reason that the pumps often fail is because the glycol evaporates and profit. Not profit. Oh. I heard movie fans turn it off. So I think when you say turn it off, I think my my instinct is that you're referring to a TV setting that I know some TVs have, sort of motion smoothing, interpolation, that sort of stuff. Um, and it's different when it's a post processing effect, which admittedly is what DLSS frame gen is. But yes, what you call it? TVs often are really quite underpowered for what they purport to have offer. And so yeah, on low end hardware, the results can often be pretty naff. Especially if it's essentially trying to do it in real time. Oh dear. Only the other day I saw a YouTuber saying that his water cooled system leaked and fried his system. I mean, it does happen occasionally. I think it depends on the cooler and how it's set up, like how if it's got come on brain, a lot of tight tubing bends, for example. As the plastic ages and heat cycles, it gets more brittle, and if the tubing is constantly like trying to snap some right angle fittings or whatever, and really thin right angle fittings, then yeah, that can make it snap, leak, and blow up. Generally speaking, it should be mostly. I think was which one's the non-toxic one? Ethylene glycol. Because I think ethylene glycol is the toxic one that smells sweet and is what you use in your car as coolant. Which I think is at least less conductive with water. Yeah. Propylene glycol is safe. Thank you. I've had open loop systems leak everywhere and it's been fine. Yeah, I think it depends. But yeah. I have smoothing off on my LG, but I have it set to lower my Hisense because the TV looks horrid with it on. Fair enough. Yeah, I think mine has an MPEG smoothing setting or something. Which I think is off. This is why air cooling is so lovely. Well, air cooling, besides the thermal paste, will keep working till the end of bloody time, so... I do prefer, for like friends and families systems, I prefer air cooling just because it means that like you sort of set it and forget it. You don't need to worry about it. It's bigger, more cumbersome, more taxing on the motherboard, but it's also way more reliable, so profit. Glycol always reminds me of the joke from Big Bang Theory. I don't care for perchloroethylene, and I don't like glycol ether. Ha ha ha. To be honest, I got fed up with dealing with a huge heatsink. If you're in your system a lot, I get it. But like I said, for the sort of like you just build the system and don't want to touch it again for like 5 years. Air cooling is great for that. Well, they're saying that I can't remember if it were called that one or if it's air cooled. But at least one of my servers is water cooled because it was the only cooler that I had at the time that would fit on a Threadripper socket. I use passive wherever I can with the kind of work I do. I was forever cleaning fans and heat sinks out. Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah. Have you seen the new name and brand change for Ssangyong? It's now KGM, and they've completely changed up almost everything. I haven't. I'm that surprised, but I haven't. I should stop tinkering every 5 months. Well, it's fine if you want to. It's just... why don't you use non-conductive liquid in the loop? Is propylene glycol conductive? Let's find out together. Is propylene glycol conductive? So yes, it is non-conductive, which is what I thought. However, it's also hygroscopic, so it absorbs water, and then when it absorbs the water, it becomes conductive. I think, if I read that right. Just throw it on throw it in mineral oil. But yeah, as Jim says, it's non-conductive when it goes in, but little bits of copper or aluminium from the radiator, little bits of contamination from the fans, whatever, it'll get nasty eventually. Huh. Okay. Heat sinks get dusty too. They get more dusty if you've got a fan on them. If they're passive, then while there is convection, which is what helps move the hot air away from the area, it's fine. It's less. Was antifreeze kind of low-key corrosive or something? Well, so propylene glycol, I think, yeah, this is very tired, low energy. I'm an idiot. Don't listen to me. I think propylene glycol may or may not be more effective at heat transfer and or different boiling point, whatever, than propylene glycol. But propylene glycol is safe. It's just ethylene glycol is toxic to mammals and stuff. But it also smells really sweet, which is why it's quite dangerous if you have like a leak or whatever. So yeah. B, we're doing a first build with an NHD15 G2. You're making me nervous. It's fine. As Rich said, the only like genuinely scary bit is the CPU installation, but it's also pretty easy to do, so yeah. Yeah, RAM can sound pretty crunchy when you put it in, just make sure it's the right way around and ram it home. In a straight line, not diagonal, that'll snap it. No worries, Chris. A lot of antifreezes use non-toxic propylene now. Yeah, fair. Coolant is my swear word this week. My car's been losing some of it. Oh dear. Oh, what did... You had a Peugeot 308. Did you swap it for something? I don't remember. Yeah, the 24 pin is not often firm. Loving hand required. Oh, it was another 308, right? And I was disappointed. I actually need. I'm working on a 308 in 2 days. The rear brakes on my friend's 308 need changing, so instead of the £400 the dealer wants to charge, we're going to do it for £35 in pads, I think. Maybe another 100 for the discs, if necessary. Yeah. I mean, It is the electronic handbrake, yes, but it's fine. You just take the electronic handbrake off, and then if you really need to, you can use a caliper wind back tool to roll it back, or you can put a 12-volt battery to the exposed pins and have it run one way or another. Honestly, it's really no different to mechanical handbrake. Had a Ninja 600 that through the water oil pump leaking seal put oil in the water system and boiled the engine. Had to mill the top. I know what you mean about the leak. I'm not sure what you're referring to by top. Like head? I don't know. Maybe you can fill me in. You said the sweet smell is dangerous. Why would it be dangerous? Because animals smell it as sweet and think that it's, you know, a nice treat, but it's actually toxic. So it is, yeah. Richard got to me. Got there first. So, Simon, so the answer is that any electronic handbrake must still function as an emergency brake. I actually tested this on my car the other day. When you pull the handbrake while you're driving, if you hold it up for more than a second, it uses the ABS pump to engage the brakes. In my car, it slams on those fuckers. Like it engages ABS as well at the same time. So like I was going relatively slowly in a in a secluded area. I was like, oh, but it slowed down pretty quickly. Considering it's just using the ABS pump. Although saying that, my car does also do a fake limited slip differential by using the brakes on either side to lock wheels to simulate a limited slip differential, which is a horrible way to do it, but let's pretend. So yeah, it shuddered pretty hard, slowed me down a fair bit, and made a horrific noise. Luckily, it was pretty dead on the road. Yes, yes. If I got a car with an electric handbrake, I'd swap it with a manual one. One of the reasons I got an early Mazda 6. So to be honest, as someone with a car with a automatic, like an electric handbrake, it's really convenient. Like, yeah, if I had a BMW, I'd want the manual one so I could do the skids. But for anything else, nah. It's pretty convenient to be able to, especially with having an automatic, you put the handbrake on and then you can be off both pedals and just relax. And then when like the traffic light changes, traffic starts to move, whatever, you just start accelerating and it will take the handbrake off for you and it just drives. It's quite nice. Mazda still had hill hold while letting off the brake too. I mean, fair enough. That's cool, but yeah. I now have an automatic with an electronic handbrake. I can pull up and just turn the engine off and it's good. I do forget though when I jump in one of the work vans. Yeah. Richard, I believe we've probably watched the same one talking about the power shunts and the fact that there's no load balancing across the connector. Yeah, real dumb. Like, really dumb. Yeah. I finally sold it on Saturday, a Mazda, but the Volvo is still off the road, so unfortunately I'm without a car at the moment. GG's. Actually, while we have a moment, um, oh yeah. So, tomorrow you'll see my Zigbee doorbell project. I'm excited for. Monday you'll see a Philips gaming projector review, and then next Friday is the Intel video I've been talking about for like 2 weeks now because that's how long I've been working on it. So yeah, I'm excited for you to see the Zigbee one in particular and the essay next Friday. And then there won't be a video until the stream that Thursday, and then the NVIDIA video I've been working on this week. So yeah. It's almost that time of the year where I can clean my car and it'll stay clean for more than half a day. We live next to a main road, so nah, doesn't really matter how long. Although I did clean my car the other day because it was really bad, like really bad. So I did it up, gave it a rinse. Cleaning is probably a step too far in my assertions. Oh, essentialist, nice for you to join us. Played 4 hours instead of 6. So what? 3 turns? Volvo said they'd received the parts I needed, and then they managed to lose them in the 20 minutes it took me to get to the dealer, so they had to order them again. That's impressive. CB, thanks for hanging with us. What part do you need for it? I'm really lazy. Mine goes to the scratchy cleaning guys. See you, Simon. Um, while I believe me, I probably would. One, I'm cheap, and two, what do you call it? My car's paint is kind of unique. It's Audi Ibis White, which is primer and then clear, primer and then color coat. There's no clear coat on top. The paint is a sort of enamel, which means that it chips annoyingly easily. But it's also a really nice, not matte, but not gloss finish either. It's like super primary white, like it's beautiful. But it also means that it gets like really easily not scratched necessarily, but the sort of thing that you would want a clay bar to clean out, you know, which I really can't be bothered to do. Even though I have a clay bar and the soap and everything like it, I just I cannot be arsed. So yeah. The difference is you probably understood most of it. Yeah. I mean, it could be essentialist. I haven't looked. New bolts to fit a new ABS traction module. Had to cut two of the old ones in half because I stripped them, and I didn't have an E5 Torx bit. I mean, fair enough. We did have to buy an E6 Torx bit to do my mate's valve cover. So yeah, I think the smallest we have is E8 in our sets normally. Yeah. Paint is supposed to have swirls in it, right? If you squint, it's mint. Fair play. I heard they're going to be power cuts in the UK, so panicked and got an Anchor 521 solar generator, 1000 watt solar panel, 1000 watt, 100 watt. I'm worried of being hysterical. Well, I did build my 6 and a bit kilowatt hour battery and 1.2 kilowatt hour solar array in my garden, in part because there was going to be rolling blackouts for a while and I wanted to maintain some amount of power. I did also get an email from National Grid, I think, talking about that. But yeah, I'm good. Nah. The main thing is just how much battery capacity does that Anchor solar generator have, if any? I mean, £350 is kind of low for one of those battery bank type things. So yeah, you'll want to work out what your energy consumption is. One of my 8K diesel Jennies will be fine. Yeah, fair enough. It was £200 off. I mean, fair enough. Gunmetal, yeah. Gunshot metal grey. Nice. Uh, yeah, it's probably a couple hundred watt, like 350 watt hours or whatever, which is fine for like charging your phone and stuff. You'd struggle to run a fridge off of that for any amount of time, especially because the peak load that it will allow is no more than 1000 watts, and that your fridge is, while your fridge probably only draws 30, 50, 60 watts, whatever, while running, the inductive load that it has when it starts the motor can be pretty high. 256 watt, yeah. So it's probably capped at 500 or 1000 watts of output, assuming it has AC output anyway. I don't know the exact amount. I have a 3 kilowatt, 6 kilowatt peak inverter, true sine wave inverter, for my battery. Anyway, I'm incredibly tired, and that's our usual hour, so I'm going to leave it there. I hope you all have a wonderful week. I hope you all stay safe. Hope you all have fun, and I hope you all check out the video tomorrow on the Zigbee stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I'll catch you guys next week. I'm off to bed.